Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? Hope you all have had a great afternoon. I know I haven't been able to be a part of every one of these sessions, but every one that I've been in has been fantastic, and it's just great to see what everyone is up to, and to hear all the great best practices and learnings that are happening out there. So I want to welcome you to the closing plenary for the day. We're really celebrating change makers from start to finish today. I'd like to, like in all the sessions, I want to encourage you to use Zoom and recommend that you join us there in doing your questions and also using the chat functionality. Closed captioning is available, so you can see that at the bottom of your screen. We also have Stephen, which is awesome. So we're very fortunate to have him here with us. Please keep the conversations and connections happening over Whova. As I mentioned, and I'll continue to say, this is the largest national bike summit ever because you showed up, and let's make it the best one. And big thanks to our sponsors who made it possible for us to keep the cost down and make this so successful. So thanks to all of them. Please visit their exhibits, check out their special deals. There's some time after this session tonight, and also make sure that maybe you get some consulting right here at the National Bike Summit. Also special thanks to our platinum sponsors, Lyft and Uber, and our gold sponsors, Federal Highway Administration, Lime, and People for Bikes for their generous support of the summit this year. As I said, this session is about change makers. And so we'll be hearing from entrepreneurs who started their bike businesses with the goal of making their communities bike friendly, and how their social entrepreneurship is helping make that happen through challenges and rewards. And then we'll be celebrating an announcement, a teaser announcement of our this year's Advocacy and Education Award winners. We're going to be doing longer ceremonies in May, but I get to tell you who won, and you get to toast them. And then, but first, I'd like to bring up a great supporter of the National Bike Summit, in Uber. In our work together, making safe streets for all has been really transformative over the last couple of years. As I noted earlier, we have to build stronger connections and coalitions, and to do the work that we're doing. And Uber really stepped up in support of the League's safety work and gave us the opportunity to reach more people through the Bicycle Friendly Driver program. I'd like to ask Shinpei Tsai to join me here in a minute. She's currently the head of global policy for the cities and transportation at Uber, where she leads a team focused on creating sustainable, inclusive, and multimodal urban future. Her experience converges at the intersection in design, policy, and governance to transform the built environment with a focus on sustainability and inclusive transportation. Prior to joining Uber, she founded Make Public, a social impact analysis firm that specializes in the public realm, and was the executive director of the Gale Institute, a nonprofit that advocated for public life and public spaces. Shinpei has also served as deputy director at Transit Center, a national foundation focused on improving urban transportation, director of the Cities and Transportation Program under the Energy and Climate Program at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, and deputy director of Transportation Alternatives in New York City. So, and also the COO of the Project for Public Spaces. So Shinpei, you've done a lot of things, and we're so excited that you and Uber are here to give us a few remarks and let us thank you for your support.
Thank you so much, Bill, for having me, and really great to be here. Great to be able to get a chance to say hi to everyone at the National Bike Summit. As Bill said, I'm Shinpei Tsai. I'm the global head of cities and transportation policy at Uber. And before coming to Uber, you heard a bit of my background. I was a sustainable transportation advocate. I've been to bike summits from more than 10 years ago, and the movement is so much bigger. You've done so much. There's been so much progress made, so many more advocates from so many more cities and communities, more miles of bike lanes, more bike share, bike parking, and more understanding of social impacts. But I just keep thinking there's so much more to do and that we still need a wholesale shift to equitable, sustainable modes, shared, active, and electric. And that's why I continue to work on this issue and believe, as Bill said, that we need to continue working together and make those strong connections. It might be strange to people to see Uber sponsoring a bike advocacy conference, but just because Jump is no longer an Uber business, it doesn't mean that our work on bike safety has stopped. We have a great partnership with Lime right now, where we can offer bikes, scooters, and mopeds in nearly 80 cities globally, which is actually 3 times the number of cities than when we operated Jump. And last September, we made a pledge to become a zero emission transportation platform in US, Canada, and the EU by 2030, and globally by 2040. And zero emission does not mean electrification. It has to mean public transit, biking, and walking along with electrification. More electric cars on the road is not the goal. Reducing single occupancy private car use and encouraging more people into public transportation, active and shared, is the goal. So roads must also be safe for us to do that. And it's easy to talk about sharing the road, but we know that it is those behind the wheel that bear the biggest responsibility in keeping the streets safe. And that's why Uber continues to invest in driver-focused safety products and education. In December of 2019, we released the first of its kind US safety report, where we shared information on safety incidents, including traffic fatalities. We will be releasing the second one in the next year as a part of our commitment to updating safety data every 2 years. The only way to reach Vision Zero is to continually track and measure our progress. And starting in 2019, we also launched a bike lane alerts feature in the Rider app that overlays bike routes with passenger drop-off locations and sends a pop-up to the rider for people on bikes before exiting. We internally say people on bikes, not cyclists, because we know how important it is to humanize riders. And we also educated riders and drivers on how to do the Dutch reach. And today, this product is live in over 200 cities around the world, where more than 176 million notifications have been sent. Increasing driver awareness of bicycles is a critical component of bicycle safety, and we're committed to using our scale to improve driver awareness of people on bikes. And so this year, we partnered with the League to launch a bicycle-friendly driver course specifically for Uber drivers, and we are now expanding this globally. Much of this work is led by Kristen Smith, Uber's head of road safety policy, who is a longtime bicycle advocate. Do connect with her at the summit if you get a chance. The bicycle-friendly driver course covers information about safe passing, safe drop-off, pickup and drop-off along bike routes, types of bicycle infrastructure, and how to avoid the most common types of crashes. Last year, we launched a comprehensive bike safety campaign for Uber Eats and are doubling down this year on ensuring that working people on bikes can stay safe. Globally, more than 54% of Eats deliveries are done on 2 wheels, and moving more mobility to smaller vehicles is just good for a city's economy, environment, and public health. And we're prioritizing their safety through an approach of rider safety, driver awareness of people on bikes, and safer infrastructure. With COVID, biking has been booming, and we want to make sure that when cities start moving again, drivers know how to navigate the streets with people on bikes. We are proud to partner with the Vision Zero network to support safer streets for all, especially vulnerable road users. We also recently joined the road safety advocates in calling on President Biden to make a national Vision Zero commitment and supported Senator Markey's Complete Streets bill. We're also developing a campaign with cities and advocates to urge people to choose a greener mode when cities start moving again. Just to close quickly, we know we have a lot of catching up to do to many others who have been working on this for a long time, and that as a 10-year-old company, we haven't always done the right thing and have a lot to learn. But because Uber moves so many people in 10,000 cities around the world, we know that it is also our responsibility to act and to support cities in achieving this vision together. And this work would not be possible without the terrific advocates, businesses, and organizations at the National Bike Summit. So thank you for everything you do. We're excited to work with you.
Thanks so much, Shinpei. Really, really appreciate that, and all of your support in coming here tonight. So now I'm really excited to introduce the moderator of our exciting keynote panel. Maria Boustead is a member of the League Board of Directors, I'm very proud to say, and the founder and CEO of Campo, which is not only a summit sponsor, but an internationally distributed brand of bike bags for people who love using their bike to get around and refuse to be compromising on style or functionality. Since May of 2013, Campo has partnered with World Bicycle Relief, donating a portion of sales to funding the purchase of bicycles for girls in developing countries so that they can get to school. An in-demand speaker, Maria has presented her entrepreneurial journey on the bike and outdoor world at the National Bike Summit previously, the Industrial Designer Society of America National Conference, the Outdoor Retailer Trade Show, and many more. Prior to founding Campo, Maria worked as an industrial designer and a brand strategist, solving problems for brands as varied as 3M, Pampers, and Yellowtail. A reluctant office dweller, she prefers to spend her time bicycling around town, traveling abroad, and reading books and drinking coffee in cafes, all of which can now thankfully count as work. So please join me in welcoming Maria Boustead and our panel.
Thanks, Phil, for that great introduction. I do like to do all those things, and I can't wait to return to them after COVID, except for the biking, of course. I'm so delighted to host this panel on bike business from a social entrepreneur perspective. We've got 3 other great panelists here, and we're going to do our introductions now. So you already heard a little bit about me. I wanted to let us use these introductions for each business owner to talk a little bit about how they came up with their business, what problem they thought that they could solve, and why they wanted to do it as a social enterprise, and not like a straight up nonprofit or a straight up for-profit business. So I'm going to go first just to tell you a little bit more about Campo and our journey and how I started with just this idea for versatile bike bags and took it to where it is now. I have a short presentation or some slides I'm going to share, and hopefully you see those. I don't see them yet. Okay. Okay. So this is me with some of my bike bags. Like Bill said, I started Campo because I really wanted to make bicycling better and more seamless for people. And so while I love the products, really having people use the products is what gives me the most joy. So as you can see in this slide, this is just a sampling of some of our customers with our bags. And we recently did our survey of our customers, and over 85% said that their Campo bag made biking better and more and easier for them. So that's, to me, a huge win, and just connected enough of being able to serve our customers and help them bike more. How it all started was I had this product issue where I love to bike to work, but I needed a better way to carry stuff. And I assume some of you have experienced these issues as well. With bike packs, I would get backpacks, I would get all sweaty, and then like a normal shoulder bag would just fall down my arm or be distracting while riding. But then bags that attached to bikes were just so like utilitarian and not really designed to be taken off the bike. And I was really looking for something with that versatility that I could like use throughout my day. And when I couldn't find anything like that, I was like, oh, this is something I can design for myself. I also saw like an opportunity for a new brand. So I launched Campo in 2009, which seems like a long time ago, and so much has changed and evolved since then. But it really felt like I could see this shift going from just bikers being kind of, you know, like bike messengers or road racers to people biking in their everyday clothes, and just not really seeing a lot of available kind of crossover bike product that would help support that lifestyle. And that's what I wanted to create. So when I think about bicycles as a vehicle for change, this is definitely a big motivator for us in our business, and really excited to be a part of this kind of big revolution, it feels like sometimes, as people get out of their cars and into the bike lane and learn how to use their bike for more kinds of trips and really embrace a healthy and sustainable lifestyle. My background's industrial design. I'm a total product person. I like to solve every problem with a product, which is a double-edged sword. But I do really take pride in designing really high quality products that's really built for this use case. So from waterproof fabrics to exploring new sustainable fabrics to really clever different functionality, that's something you can always find with a Campo bag. But then also what pedals us forward is really supporting and celebrating the joy of biking. So that can, with our audience and our community and our customers, so that can be working with our customers to develop the bags. We just launched a new line of kids bags, and we worked with kids to create them, which was super fun. And then, like what Bill described, we've done a lot with partnering with advocacy groups over the years, from the League to local bike groups like We Bike in New York to World Bicycle Relief. And our latest initiative, which is this 1%, is that we're donating 1% of all of our sales to the charity of your choice. So if you make a purchase at Campo now, you can choose like your local bike advocacy group, and that's who we'll donate to. So we're really excited to bring kind of the power of the donation to our customers that way. That's pretty much it for me. One little plug is that I invite everybody to check our bags in the exhibitor area. There's a coupon code if you pop in there to get a new bag. And here's these adorable new kids bags that I described. I hope that the screen share words, I'm getting like flashes that it was frozen sometimes. So hopefully that works. That's it for me. And now I want to introduce the next panelist. Nedra Deadwyler is from Civil Bikes. And Nedra, if you want to switch on your camera and your mic, and I'll turn mine off, and then you can have the floor to talk a little bit more about what you're building and why.
That sounds great. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Bike League, Karen, and Bill, and all the rest of the panelists here. I'm excited to be here and to talk about why I started Civil Bikes. So as Maria said, my name is Nedra Deadwyler, and I started Civil Bikes in 2013, and it has been around for a long time. Well, kind of a long time. So I started really out of, I loved riding the bike, and that filled that space for me. I could do it as a business. I had recently lost a job, and so I was finally ready to just do something on a whim that I really enjoyed and cared about, and create some sort of change that I felt like I could produce. I was a social worker, and in my past professional life, direct service, I had most recently been working for the government. So I was looking for some sort of change. Through my lived experiences of just travel and also moving around, living in different cities, the way that I learned about those cities, the city's history, the people who live there, and some of the story, the culture, the context, was walking and biking, and also taking transit. So when I lost my job, I had taken a trip to Alabama, and this is when they were launching their civil rights trail. So it was that trip where I was in a car, I was in the back seat of a vehicle, and I was looking out the window at various sites, the landscape, and I just thought to myself that it would be wonderful if we had been on bicycles. We had ridden from place to place. You could feel the environment so much more, interact with, the history and some of the visual sites. And so when it came to having no job, I saw a perfect opportunity to do something that I wanted to do. So I leapt forward. Circling back, I'm going to do a screen share. I will say that, starting a business is was not something I was necessarily strong at. I had a social mission. I'm a person that's driven by people, by people's story, and also in that engagement. And so, as you can see from this slide, it kind of gives you a bit of a progression. We are essentially doing tours around historic places, but in that process of not only engaging the history, doing research, going to research libraries, talking to people who lived in different neighborhoods, I also had to learn how to look at history and understand history, because the history that I grew up with in school was not the same thing that I learned when I was on the street. And also what I realized is that people who live the history have a completely different experience and expectation and understanding of that past. So I wanted to really learn how to be a great public historian, so I went back to school. But from our groups, it was from students to adults, community members, tourists, it ran the gamut. In the process of seeing going to historical sites and leading tours, I also learned about preservation. And a lot of Black history, Black spaces that are very significant, not only to Black people and experiences and community building, it's also important to, the cities and states, towns that they're in, as well as the country. But many of them look like this. So what is preservation? How does preservation work? And then, so these are questions that I started to have. And as a process of also being a woman, being a Black woman on a bicycle advocacy around race, class, gender, all of those things became a part of civil bikes, talking about that. And back here in Atlanta, we hosted some workshops and had events, book clubs around intersections of race and class. And here's Dr. Melody Hoffman, who came to town to have that discussion with us. So moving forward from this is 2017 or 16, 17 to now, where all of our events are really in a virtual space, we are doing some new things, but it's all the same goal, which is bringing people together to look at history and to look at place. So now I'm going to pass to the next person. Christine, if you would like to introduce yourself and talk about your pedal power promotions. And let me take off my...
Thank you, Nedra.
You're welcome.
I can't wait to come and tour with you in normal times. I love the history aspect. Super. I'm going to share my screen now too. And hopefully I can get that up quickly. And let me see, I'll do view and present slideshow. Great. Can you all see my slides, my image? Somebody has to nod or say yes.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Super. So I'm Christina Acosta. I founded the social enterprise Pedal Power Promoters in 2014. And I did that to create a business and an income for myself so that I could advance bicycle friendliness working with private and public enterprises in my Tampa Bay area. And there now are 5 lines of business I'm going to tell you about that Pedal Power Promoters has worked on. And I always give a shout out at this moment to AARP because they took this great photo of me. They wrote an article about how you're never too old to start your own business, especially one that you feel has more social value than perhaps your prior corporate life or what have you. So the lines of business I'm going to tell you a little bit about are the bicycle friendly business programming. And that has been the lion's share of my work with the Pedal Power Promoters business, and bike and scooter parking and storage, facilities outreach and public outreach for facilities. And then more recently, opportunities have arisen, and I've committed to work with some private development and shared micro-mobility. As I said, the bicycle-friendly business programming has been the core of Pedal Power Promoters' work. And I want to just tell you a little bit about what we do to shore up the success that we've had there. We use the framework that's provided by the League of American Bicyclists. And I want to express gratitude for the League, especially Amelia Neptune, who's been a tremendous coach and someone who's just really been encouraging of me and my work. So thanks for that. In a bicycle-friendly business program that I've run, the client is the sponsoring agency or organization. Like here I have these emblems for you from the Tampa Downtown Partnership, the City of St. Petersburg through its Healthy St. Pete programming. We have a very, very large business district in Tampa called the West Shore Alliance, and our coalition in our area called Bike Walk Tampa Bay. One of the things that we do, a couple of things we do to ensure success of the business in securing an award from the League is that we start with obtaining senior level support in the business, in the C-suite, or at least the business owner operator. Then we create a customized action plan for them. And we always require that safety education is incorporated into the BFB application process. I'm delighted to share with you that Tampa, I've worked in the cities of Tampa and St. Petersburg, which are both shown there on the League's ranking report, and Tampa has now become the #1 city in the nation in numbers of bicycle-friendly businesses, and St. Pete is the 4th. Super proud of that. The next thing that Pedal Power Promoters does is we work with the bike and scooter rack company, Darrow. Darrow is an exceptional partner. I think my fellow speakers would agree that in a social enterprise environment, it's just critically important that you partner with businesses and other individuals and groups that really feel what you feel about the potential for biking and micromobility, and also just are very passionate about it. And I have found that kind of partnership in Darrow. They've been an excellent educator of me. And so the work that I've done includes bike room renovations. You can see an image in the middle there. I'm sure many of you have many communities where the bike racks are just a tangled mess. And so there's huge need in that area. There's also micromobility parking and consulting. And of course, I work with private and public clients. The image of the bike shelter there is one I'm especially proud of because it is at Tampa International Airport, the first airport to be recognized as bicycle friendly, where the displacement of 2 car parking spots occurred so that we could add room, covered secure space for 16 bikes and a bike repair station. So that's what we're doing in that area. Another thing we've had the opportunity to do is facilities outreach or public engagement for some cycle tracks in our area, trails in our area, and also various complete streets. If you see the image there with the Phase 1 gold highlighted area, that's a portion of our Green Spine cycle track in Tampa that did receive an award from People for Bikes, top 10 new cycle track in 2017. So yay. And it was a delight to be able to be on the sort of official cheerleading team to tell the public about that facility. Private development is an enormous opportunity that really where we have the opportunity to do full mobility planning using transportation demand management as our methodology. So often, I'm sure you all experience this, you go into a brand new development and you just think, oh my goodness, this could have been so much better for biking. So getting in literally before any dirt is shoveled is just ideal. And it gives us the opportunity also to talk about first and last mile, not only for people, but also for commerce, and where we have the potential and the desire and the need to have curb management and delivery of goods and services. Also gives us a chance to do some truth testing on routes and facilities that could tie to the new development. And finally, working with the shared micromobility partners that are needing more more support on bike facilities, since most of these are governed and must be using bicycle space. It's important that we offer our services to these businesses. Sorry about that. Funny. Okay, so I will now defer to the next presenter, and I thank you for your time. Stop sharing now. Look forward to answering any questions you may have. Yasser, it's on you now.
Hi everyone, thank you, Christine. I'm Yasser. My name is Yasser González Cabrera. I'm from Havana, Cuba. I run a bicycle business for bike tours called CITYKLETA. CITYKLETA is a local business to offer tours to visitors in the city and organize activity for local people. With a hypothesis of that if tourists like to ride a bicycle in Havana, Cubans must do it as well. I started some popular events like the Critical Mass, La Vuelta de Noche, Buen Día Ciclista, is like a Good Morning Cyclist, and the Bici Picnic Musical, where many Cubans started to experience the city by bicycle. When I joined a friend to open his bike rental and tour shop, the first one in Havana, we were kind of freakies. Bike used to be unpopular in Havana, and actually running into another cyclist could happen sometime in the week. After 3 years with this friend, Airbnb was preparing a pilot of the experiences. I joined them and I started my own tours with them. I saw the opportunity to show tourists when I started my business. I saw the opportunity to show tourists that we have more than. Sorry, I forgot to share my slide with you that I prepared. Yeah, sorry, I don't find it. Okay.
Do you see the share screen? Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah, now it's better. Yeah. When I started my sorry. When I started my business, I saw the opportunity to show tourists more than rum, cigars, Hemingway, or the revolution. Sorry. Just starting the bike business in Havana, we faced many difficulties to find bicycles, tours, and the spare part because we have no bike shops in Cuba. This means that if you run a bicycle business for a few years, you are very good expert and you have the answer for all questions that local people have about solve the main problem about bicycles, how and where to how and where people can find a bicycle. I could not help. I couldn't help opening my own bike shop because this wasn't allowed till a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, we are getting lucky in that way. And so I started some initiative, like I mentioned before, like the critical mass you see here. But I also started to recognize many problems that cyclists are facing in the day by day. For example, we can see that in this picture, one picture from 1965 and the other one from 2017, the same street didn't have changed much, and it's still owned by the same old timers that were brought from United States during the 50s. Here in the bottom, this image even is normal to me. It's making me sad because we are still having difficulty to just flat tire, for example. This old man, it's not possible to see the sun, but the sun in Cuba is very strong. This old man is sitting outside, just fixing his bicycle, and in not very comfortable place. When I started my business, I have two main goals. The first one was I wanted to create a new way the visitor can explore the city and encourage Cuban to ride bicycle. But later, over the time, I found out that there is much about the impact that we were doing. For example, show the people how to improve their life with a simple mobility change using the bicycle, empowering women, make local people to connect with their city in another level. For example, creating more civil responsibility. Ride a bike means adopt a completely new style in our life. It's like being a rebel. We need to get out of our comfort zone and being reachable for everyone in the road. The sweating can be challenging despite the needs of alternative means of transport in Cuba. At this point, the situation looked quite similar to another city in the world, but the case of Cuba is very particular because most of the people have trauma associated with the cycling, because in the 90s we had a deep crisis, economical crisis, that where the public transportation was replaced by bicycles. Basically, Fidel Castro imported about 1 million bicycles to Cuba from China and give them to workers. So we started to, well, not me, but my parents and everyone from their generation started to ride bicycle with no other options. So the bicycle played a key role to bring a sustainable form of tourism to the city and educate the people about cycling at the same time, showing them how cool it is, creating new jobs and new jobs that didn't exist before our business. Yeah, my community is not limited to a specific area. because my business had no physical location, we have put it, all the effort to grow our community online. So the events I organize get people from all around the city. Yeah, I will give you the turn to Maria because she have some questions for us. Thank you.
Thanks, Yasser. That was really fascinating to see the photos and hear about some of the historical implications of biking in Cuba. Okay, so for the next section here, we're going to just do like some Q&A with the panel. If I could have, Yasser, if you could stop sharing your screen, and then if all the other panelists could turn on their cameras. And I have some questions prepared, but we have about 260 people listening in, which is phenomenal. So if anybody has a question that they want to ask us, I invite you to put it into the Q&A. I've been kind of eyeing it. And then we can use that at the end to take questions from the audience. The first question that comes up is, this is a panel about bike entrepreneurship. We've all started our own business, but with like as a social entrepreneur. So that says to me that we're doing this more than just for the money, right? So I'm curious about how do you define success for your business, and what different things do you think of? Nedra, do you want to answer that first?
Yeah, I will say, you know, that's a really difficult question, but also probably the most essential aspect of being a social entrepreneur, because, you know, usually a business is defined by the revenue, how much it earns, or how many products it sold. And so for me, it wasn't necessarily about even the number of tour tickets or how much money I made, or if anything, it's like I didn't make. It was more of the type of conversations that we would have when we were on tour, because the whole goal wasn't just about me being a talking head. It was more about getting people to open up to the stories, open up to the place and locations, open up to their own experiences in their communities. And being able to make those type of connections. So it was a stimulating conversation. And then I said the other aspect would be the ways that I was able to get local community involved. We, in the process of doing this, we changed our model often. I would say it was a lot of iteration. And so it's working with locally owned businesses and also cultural spaces in ways to tie them into whatever event that was happening that day, with other social entrepreneurs, being able to include them, and artists. So for me, it was a type of connections, and also making it more than just like, I'm going to have fun. It was fun. And if they would leave Atlanta, they could always come back, feel that they can come back to this store, to this shop, you know, to this juice bar, or to see this cultural space, or to this, you know, find this artist's murals because they saw several different types of murals and styles. So to me, it was that type of like change that was important. And then the last thing would be, say, locally around the issues that we would talk about, what would inspire from that? Like, what would come from that? Would there be more discussions around race and gender? Would there be more conversations about like our identities, and how will people share more of how they feel in public space? Do they feel safe or not? So, and just having a little bit of a change of mind, and also just an openness to what we could create. So, those are the ways that I define success.
Yeah, that's really those intangibles, I feel like, is what makes us, being a small business owner, such a rich experience. Do you have any way to measure those kinds of intangibles? And I'm just wondering if, because I know sometimes it just feels like it is, but when you like take a look at like what's working and what's not, is there a way that you like, okay, this definitely is moving the needle, or not? And maybe not, I don't know, but I'm just curious.
Well, we send surveys. Like I started doing surveys sometimes after the fact, after the event, email it back to people. The type of, like responses on TripAdvisor or whatever. And then, honestly, people felt very comfortable telling me what they liked, what they didn't like. So that's like, on the needle, right at the moment, you get people's visceral response. And then I would say is like those other intangibles, facial expressions, is this connecting? Is it not connecting? So it was always just being open to feedback.
Yeah, I really like that. And we're fortunate enough to have two kind of bike tour businesses on this panel. Yasser, I want to put a question to you. It's a little bit different. Mine is like, when you think about your target customer or who's taking your tours, who are you picturing? Is it locals versus tourists? And what are you really hoping that they're going to get out of the experience?
Yeah, well, good question. Actually, my target customers is everyone who loves to ride a bicycle and understand what it means. But my ideal, because first of the bicycle is culture, and there are some countries with more culture of bicycle than others. Cuba is not that place, so my ideal market is the Dutch one. It's very easy to navigate the city with them. Every Dutch person can ride a bicycle. In the Netherlands, 28% of all trips are made by bicycle, so it's wonderful. Later, the German market, but the truth is that our first market is the American market. But it's very complicated because it's very sensitive to US-Cuba relationship. During the last 4 years with Trump, our businesses were very affected by the sanctions of Trump and some limitation to travel that he put it to American people. Cuban people are not our customers. Cuban people cannot afford the price that we have in our business and any other bike tour business in Cuba, because Cuba have two currencies and two economies. The one that is the social economy, the original economy that everyone imagine Cuba, but that the government and the state subsides everything to the people, and the other one that started to be implemented in the 90s during the crisis, where one Cuban peso, convertible peso, is the same value of a dollar. This means that we started to create some places specific for tourists, and because they couldn't didn't make sense to bring them to enjoy the subsidies that Cuban had. So because private businesses are not subsidies, we cannot subsidize our services to Cuban people as well. So this is, in other words, Cuban people can buy food, have education, healthcare, public healthcare system, but they cannot do a bicycle tour. This answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And thanks for bringing that perspective to it and kind of how some of the recent events have affected your business, even though it feels far away from here. Obviously, a lot has happened in the last year that has affected like every business, small and large. But I think for bike businesses in particular, that, with the not being able to do as many in-person things, but then also with the bike boom, it's been kind of a plus and a minus. And I think like what we saw with the Great Recession, with a lot of people reevaluating what's important to them right now, and having ideas for turning their passions into a business. I think we are on the precipice, if it not hasn't already happened, to see a blossoming of entrepreneurship. Christine, I was wondering if, I'm guessing that some of the people who are watching this have an idea for a bike business in their head. Christine, I was wondering if you had any like tips or any advice you would give to somebody for maybe evaluating their idea or how they could get started.
Sure. And I've also noticed in the questions that someone has asked if I've considered franchising. So I do want to say that the business model that I have is definitely can be successful in any marketplace. You just have to know your community and know where the demands are, because what you really want to do is solve problems along the way. So while I don't have any intention of franchising my business, I am working with the League to develop a curriculum so that I can share more details about what it means to start your own business and how I determined what it was that I was going to do with the business. So stay tuned for information on that a few months from now. The tips I would offer are to look for opportunities in your marketplace where things are really kind of a wreck. For instance, the bike parking in my community, it was just really insufficient, very poor quality bike parking. And so as I began to really get some traction on the bicycle friendly business programming, I had a lot of businesses say to me, how do I get bike racks? Where do I get them? How do I know what a good bike rack is? How do I know that they'll be installed properly? And so I could just watch those trends very carefully and come to the conclusion that there was a service gap in our community that I could fill. So everybody can do that in their own communities, and I encourage you to do that. There was also a question about trends that we see, and so I just want to encourage everyone to heighten your awareness about micromobility. This is an area that is changing and evolving at warp speed. It's really fun, it's really exciting, and there are opportunities for us to plug in our knowledge and be of service and derive income in that area.
Yeah, thanks, Christine. That was a perfect segue into our last question, and just like this section at least, I again invite people to put other things in the Q&A so we can get to it. Because of COVID and all the changes that we're seeing, it's been an opportunity for a lot of businesses to kind of pivot or to hit the reset button and think about what they want to do going forward for 2021, especially if there's some of these like big trends that you're noticing that you want to shift your business a little bit to address. So let's end the panel with, at least with this part, on kind of a exciting, your optimistic note, if you are, about what you are excited about in the next year or two, and where you think the big opportunity is for your business to continue to grow. Nedra, do you want to start it off?
Sure. As far as COVID, it did require us to pivot quite a bit. I had hired tour guides, had relationships that were finally coming in, so a lot of new opportunity. But we took the opportunity to kind of pull back, and of course we had to, and think about what we could actually do at the moment. So we did much more community engagement. The way that I see for Civil Bikes to grow, which is what we're doing now, is we're having a storytelling festival. So we're bringing community into broadening history, historical narratives, personal narratives, family narratives, neighborhood narratives, because again, like I said in my intro, it is that real lived experience that opens up history and can get us to not just see it as something in the past, but that it affects us today, you know, and in the future, and maybe can inform. So I think it's moving more into, you know, further into social justice. And then I said the other part for me is to reconnect to my own personal love of cycling. Like, it became work and less about like me and my joy of riding. when we started, we were hosting classes for like rides for women. I've done children's bike camps and used to teach people how to ride, and all of that is important. So I see now myself, which we have served over this time, is like a connector. So really connecting people to, because there's so many other groups that spring up. And sometimes it's hard to find newer riding clubs and organizations and meetups, but to be able to talk about safety. So I will say talking more about safety, speaking to those issues, but also connecting and hopefully supporting the newer groups that are out there so that they can keep growing too and have a place in our local community.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really good vision. Yasser, what about you? How did you, well, you talked a little bit about how adjusting from COVID just with the lack of tourism, but what are you looking forward to this year, and where do you see the biggest opportunities for your business?
Yeah, well, since the pandemic started, I'm working in a huge project to open a bicycle center, urban bicycle center for CITYKLETA. Is a project that we want to launch this year in 21. The rest of my time, I'm using social media, some group on Facebook to talk about bicycle education, because during the pandemic has been an explosion of cyclists in the city. People are just bringing the bike from other countries and just are riding bicycle because it's the everyone knows is the safer way to go around there and avoid the public transportation, right? So there are many cyclists now, but they are still having the same problems. There are no bike lanes. The infrastructure in the city is bad. We are trying, a group of friends, people who met each other, promoting the cycling in the city. We are trying to teach them how to cycle better, how to be careful on the street, what they can do to improve their experience in the city. I want to continue doing that because my goal for this year is to open a bike shop, kind of a community center with an educational program. Is what I want this year.
And I can't wait to come to Cuba to visit it. Okay, Christine. So I can't wait to come visit. To visit your bike shop. Okay, Christine, why don't you finish us off? What are you looking forward to for this year, or what opportunities do you see for growth for your business?
Well, I posted in the chat that during the coronavirus pandemic, I did pivot the business so that we could focus on bicycle-friendly business certification opportunities that were in the professional firm environment, and we had to go completely online for all of our bike safety education. So that was a challenge. I'm looking forward to seeing where the business goes. The trends are very clear, so the challenge and opportunity both will be how to invest properly with time, energy, and resources at the right time and in the right places. I think I'm really excited about, this is just a pivotal moment for all of us. When you're passionate about micromobility and biking and any and all modes of transport that are not me in my car by myself, the sky's the limit right now. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens as we all get back to a more normal environment, but hopefully in a much better way.
Yeah, thanks for that. And I was just thinking about, enjoy listening to how everybody kind of adapted or pivoted a little bit. I think most small businesses had to do that. I know for Campo, one big change for us, and this is probably like a no duh, but just when you're operationally dealing with it, is with all the work from home, we weren't selling our panniers that have laptop compartments anymore, because who needs to bike with their laptop if you're just sitting out, so it was a big shift for us to kind of focus on our more recreational bags, and also for our content to be more targeted towards people kind of rediscovering the bike, or just getting used to biking, whereas before it was more for people who are already kind of comfortable with biking and just looking to do it more. And so that was an adaptation that we had to make, and it is kind of obviously very exciting with the bike boom and with more people getting comfortable using their bicycle, but just kind of curious about how those trends will change this year as people start going back to work or back to any place instead of just having to kind of stay home most of the time. So I think we're about out of time. I'm just gonna skim these questions really quick to see if there's anything in here that, oh, this is an interesting one. Okay, we'll have like whoever wants to answer this can take it first, and we'll just wrap it with that. Where do you find joy with community to become more bike curious? How do you help your community to become more bike curious? Does anybody have a way to take us out on an idea with that?
I was going to suggest Yasser. I mean, if he doesn't have a response.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
The question is okay, so for your community in Cuba, how do you help them find the bike joy and become bike curious?
Well, I think I didn't understand well. I'm trying to find it in the Q&A.
I'll take a stab at it, and then you can follow up if you get an idea based on.
Yeah, please. Yes, please.
Yeah. I will say the finding the joy for bike curious, I just think it's presenting biking in a way that's accessible for whoever it is. Like if it's for children, they need to see images of other children riding. And say marketing over the summer, like we tried to change it to where we're it really wasn't a big shift or anything, but just being very intentional and using language that said, we're talking to Black people, we're talking to people of color, we're talking to queer folks, like being pretty explicit, because if we're not saying who this is for, I think it's hard to say it's for everyone, even though biking is for everyone. There are just barriers that some groups may have because of the political environment or social environment that they live in. So, and just having cool events,
Yeah, that's really good. And that's a great way to wrap it up. So we're out of time. If anybody has a question that they wanted to ask, or if any of the panelists have like final thoughts that they think of that they didn't get a chance to share, the conversation continues in the app. So you can go to this session and there's still a spot for a Q&A in there. So I think that's up for the rest of the bike summit. So all of us will check in every now and then, and so we can keep the questions and answers going and supporting each other. Thanks so much, everybody, for participating on the panel. It was great to learn more about you and what you're building, and I'm super excited about your businesses, visiting both Atlanta and Havana to partake. Okay, Bill.
Thanks to everyone for this awesome panel, and thanks, Maria, for your final words there. It is true that those conversations continue, and they will continue in this app afterwards. So we have access for a number of months to all the sessions and to these conversations. So hopefully we can keep that going, because it's been really exciting. So thanks to the panel and your work in your areas of influence, and for inspiring us to collaborate with businesses and to maybe even consider starting businesses of our own. I think that's really great. I loved hearing about that, and finding new ways to make a difference to improve lives and communities through bicycling. So very, very inspirational. So before, we have a few more minutes. We set aside a little bit of extra time because this is the time of the year where we do our award ceremony. this is, you know, it's, you all know this, we all know this, and we can't say it enough, that our movement is filled with amazing people, and that it's part of our job, and a very satisfying part of our job at that, to recognize them and their work to make bicycling better for all. And so usually, you know, we're gathered, we're here in DC, we're at an awards dinner, and we're celebrating and recognizing these people and organizations that have been taking bold action for better bicycling, lead on equity inclusion, and inspire us to do more. So we know that there's a good amount of difficulty. This has gotten better, but in fully expressing our gratitude in this format. So we're gonna do our best through tonight or today or this afternoon for some of you, through a simple announcement to close out this session, and then we're going to be doing one-on-one deep dive, like an in-depth interview, bike side chats during Bike Month in May with each of the award winners. So I'm going to go through them. I'm going to go through the slides just so you can see what folks are up to and see our award winners. But please stay tuned to those and get those on your. Stay tuned for the announcement of those in-depth interviews of bike side chats. We're calling them bike side chats now, and get them on your Bike Month agenda. So I'll have a few other announcements, just housekeeping at the very end, some important announcements about tomorrow as well. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. Okay, let's see. Yeah, okay. Great. So as I said, the Advocacy and Education Awards are, you know, it's a great time of year, and this is, hopefully we're doing everything we can to celebrate these amazing people and organizations, and we'll look forward again to having more in-depth discussions with them and getting some live questions with them during those times and during May. But the first award is for Club of the Year. And this award goes to, it recognizes a bike club that provides great experience for its members and people who are new to bicycling. Clubs that earn this award do an exceptional job of integrating advocacy into club activities and supporting local advocacy organizations as well. This award is about recognizing clubs that are inclusive, welcoming, and committed to growing bicycling. And this year's award is going to Oaks and Spokes from Raleigh, North Carolina. They are a charitable nonprofit organization which fosters community of people who ride bikes together in Raleigh. They achieve this by organizing and supporting events, advocating for improvements to the city and local businesses, and deploy tactical urbanism. So they do events and they do tactical urbanism. This bike club is doing a whole lot. And the nominations were really clear that they've done so much to improving the conditions in Raleigh, North Carolina. So with that, here's a picture of them, and you can get, you know, a little bit of their feelings about the work that they do here. Next up is the Emerging Leader of the Year. This award is a special accolade for a young person who is new to the bicycling movement, or newish, let's say, and has demonstrated exceptional, inspiring bicycling advocacy. Nominees have demonstrated leadership in their short tenure and show great potential to continue leading in the bicycling movement. And this year's award is going to Joshua Funches, who is from Philadelphia. Joshua is the co-founder of the National Youth Bike Council, which officially started in 2017 by a group of young people who were motivated with the idea of connecting youth across the nation as leaders. And it's been my pleasure and our pleasure at the League to be working with Joshua as he sits also on the steering committee of the Youth Bike Summit. And so we're looking forward to seeing that event come to fruition. And we're also looking forward to seeing his work and development in connecting youth and helping the movement grow. So here's Joshua in his own words. Yay. Next up, Advocate of the Year. The Advocate of the Year award goes to the leader of a bicycling and walking advocacy organization who has shown tireless commitment to promoting bicycling and walking in their state or community. This person goes above and beyond to transform their state and community into a great place for biking and walking. Their time, knowledge, and creativity and commitment are the highest standards of excellence, exemplifying a role model for peers. And the award this year goes to Sarah Clark Stewart. And I'm sorry if my slides are going off the edge there a little bit. Sarah Clark Stewart is the executive director of the Bicycle Coalition for Greater Philadelphia. Her leadership at the Bicycle Coalition has been really transformational, basically conceiving the proposal that led to Philadelphia and Camden winning the $23 million Tiger Trail Building Grant, naming the building, naming and building out the circuit, lobbying successfully for legislation mandating inclusion of bike parking in new construction projects, and the Philadelphia Complete Streets policy, as well as advocating to Mayor Kinney to adopt a Vision Zero goal to eliminate traffic deaths by 2030. They've also led the way in pushing for an elimination of enforcement as a main tenet and a main pillar of the Vision Zero program there. As recently, I'll have to mention that, during COVID-19, when it set in mid-March, the Bicycle Coalition acted in many ways. One that really stands out is that they proposed that the city close Martin Luther King Jr. Drive indefinitely as a means to give folks outdoor recreation and commuting area. So they advocated and they got it, and got over 1,000 people signing a petition in a single day. So currently closed, I believe still, but the work remains. And Sarah Clark Stewart has really done an incredible job of leading an organization. She is an inspiration to me as an executive director, as somebody who can really get a team going and an organization providing exceptional return and meeting their mission. So, in her own words, okay. Awesome. So next up is the Susie Stevens Joyful Enthusiasm Award. This award it commemorates Susie Stevens, who was one of the Alliance for Biking and Walking founders and an enduring inspiration for many of us in the bicycle and pedestrian movement. The honor goes to an individual or group that carries on Susie's passion for advocating for bicycling as a fun and economical means for transportation. And we had an incredible amount of nominations, and we were very, very excited to give this award to Robin Woods from Pittsburgh. She's the founder and of Women at Work, a Shiro of the Pittsburgh chapter of Black Girls Do Bike, and a member of the Pittsburgh Major Taylor Cycling Club. She's also a street team employee at the Pittsburgh Bike Share, which is Healthy Ride. Some of the things that came out of the nomination. There's no holding back, leaving no one behind. A true go-getter when it comes to adventure, always ready to strap in and get the wheels down. She not only initiates and organizes rides and hikes and several times per month, she also commits herself to growing the number of event attendees by welcoming and being inclusive. Robin's style of leadership is warm, accommodating, and inviting. Next up, the Educator of the Year. This is going to 2 people this year, which there's precedent for, but it was this was a really great opportunity. It recognizes a person, or people in this case, who have worked to elevate bicycling education in their state or community. We're honoring educators who are current league cycling instructors, active in teaching classes in the past year, that are serving diverse communities and have shown innovation in their education work. And the award goes to Iris Coronado and Victoria Kupis from Arizona. They are the founders they're co-founders of the group Indigenous Road Warriors. Iris is a member of the Pascua Yaqui tribe in Tucson, and and Victoria is a member of the Tohono O'odham Nation. Iris and Victoria lead and plan rides with the Indigenous Road Warriors, which led to build community health and camaraderie and bike safety, of course. They've both been LCI since 2019. We're thrilled to have them at the summit. They are actually leading a session. They're leading a session tomorrow at 3:30 p.m. On improving public health through bicycling education. So they're also featured in our fall magazine of last year. So check that out too. And again, we have these nice sessions coming up in May. Next, let you read this for a second. Inspired by you. Next up is the Catherine Kitty Knox Award, Catherine T. Knox Award, Kitty Knox Award. This award, it recognizes champions of equity, diversity, inclusion in the bicycling movement. This award goes to an individual or group that has been making bicycling more inclusive and representative and has worked to remove barriers to participation by underserved and underrepresented people in their community, state, or country. This award this year goes to Tamika Butler. I'm sure many of you, we all know Tamika Butler as a national expert and speaker on issues related to the built environment, equity, anti-racism, diversity, inclusion, organizational behavior, and change management. We know her as a former executive director of the LA County Bicycle Coalition and also the head of a director of equity and inclusion at Tool Design. She's worn many hats and has led in numerous ways. Really excited to sit down and talk to Tamika. She's been an inspiration this year in so many ways, and really demanding that we as bicycling organizations do better. And so we've taken that to heart and continue to. There's a lot of work to do. And we appreciate Tamika's example and helping us be better at really serving everyone through this work that we do. So looking forward to speaking with Tamika here in May. And then the Advocacy Organization of the Year. This award goes to the Bicycling and Walking Organization, who in the past year made significant progress. The leaders have worked tirelessly to grow and strengthen their organization and fulfill their mission. The proof of their effort is in the growth in their capacity to deliver programs, build membership, and victories that they've achieved for biking and walking in their state or community. And this year's award goes to, I should also have to add, thank you. The award recognizes organizations that are inclusive, welcoming, and committed to growing bicycling. It's been a very tough year. I think that might be the understatement of the year right there. This award also comes with the John Graff Prize for Advanced and Safe Cycling of $1,000, which we were able to add last year for the first time when this award went to Asheville on Bikes. We're very, very excited to present this award to Bike Newport in Rhode Island. Bike Newport also happens to be the birthplace of the League of American Bicyclists. We really wanted in 2020 to go to Bike Newport because of all their amazing work, to go to Newport and be with Bike Newport and ride at our 140th anniversary. We weren't able to do it. But that didn't stop us, and they really led the way through an incredible amount of making sure that bike matching, making sure that people had bikes. They did everything they could to put things in place, mechanics, investing in road ready bikes, opening the email request system. During the next several months, they answered simultaneous requests for bikes and really distributed more than 300 restored bikes in the Newport community. They are providing opportunities during a pandemic to for people to safely learn how to bike and really, we've said it, the one bright spot, maybe the one few bright spots during this year has been seen people use bicycling as a way to escape and get to where they need to go, and to really get into a better headspace and to improve their wellness. So we thank Bike Newport for what they're doing, and look forward to being with them in May and talking to them more. And then, yep, here's a little bit of information, sorry. And lastly, we added this very, very important award this year. It's a special year, and we had someone that is so deserving of this highest honor that the League bestows. This recipient shows to be an inspiration to others for their commitment in the future of bicycling, and someone that has made significant progress in education and safety and rights and the benefits of bicycling. And that award goes to, this is the League's highest honor, the Dr. Paul Dudley White Award goes to Jenny Sullivan. Jenny Sullivan is a fourth-generation Montanan who is devoted to helping her state preserve and exhibit Montana's rich history and culture. At Adventure Cycling, she was the advocacy director, and I'm sure many of you know Jenny. I don't think it's hard to think of anyone in the biking or trails community who doesn't know, love, and respect Jenny in her 15 years at the of national bike travel advocacy, Adventure Cycling. Her tireless enthusiasm and passionate commitment to positive change, combined with her superpowers as a connector and a relationship builder, has had countless transformative impacts in every corner of the country. Whenever you see a U.S. bicycle route map sign on board your bike, or you board your bike on an Amtrak train without boxing it, and are experiencing bike-friendly rural communities, or seeing a rumble strip that meets bike safety standards, you can think about Jenny. She has planted and watered and bicycling advocacy seeds in communities and businesses, transportation and tourism agency, public land agencies, and Congress and state legislatures, and of course in our bike and pedestrian advocacy world. So a huge thanks to Jenny for all of her work, and looking forward to talking with her in May. So I hope you all can read this last bit, from Jenny, her perspective. We're gonna be sharing these out in a blog post, magazine article, all these stuff, all these things, and we'll be looking forward to having those conversations and a little bit of a deep dive with these people who are really, continuing to transform lives and communities through biking. So, thanks for participating in this. I'm sorry I went over a little bit. I'm gonna stop my screen share here for a second, and then I'm gonna give you some final. I was told that there are a couple of things that folks need to know about for tomorrow, and let me just make sure I'm getting it. Well, sorry. Okay, yeah. So a big announcement. So we're going to be with the Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg. So Secretary Pete Buttigieg and I are going to talk. We're going to have the first bike side chat here on Wednesday. It's going to start right at noon. So please come early and be here. And we have, I believe, almost 20 minutes with him. So that's going to be great. For your state meetings tomorrow, go to the 5 p.m. Tuesday event. Open the event in Hoover, and there's a document with links to your state meeting. So make sure you do that. And again, keep the conversations going. There is a ride happening here in 40 minutes. So if you want to do a night ride with Jeff Miller and DC Cycling Concierge, otherwise, hope you can keep the conversations going. Big thanks to our panel, and again, to all of you for making this a great conference.